Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Come on in here and sit down with me. Let's open our Bibles up. And we're right in the midst of Psalm 61. We started yesterday with the introduction and with verse 1. Today we're going to look at verse 2. And verse 2 is going to, I think, tell us a little bit about David's situation, and it's also going to tell us a little bit about another psalm. We're going to see shades of Psalm 18, David's grand psalm. We always are referring back to Psalm 18, it seems like. As I said yesterday, this is probably, I think, and I'm going to argue some more for that today, that this is written during the time when Saul's persecuting David. And I think that comes to us just because of the position of the psalm in the Psalter, where it is and what's around it, as well as internally what we have here. So let me read for you today. If you have your Bible, open up there to Psalm 61, verse 2. I'm just going to read verse 2. If you don't have your Bible, I'll be glad to read for you. From the end of the earth I will cry unto thee, when my heart is overwhelmed. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Now, as I said, I think that this is written during the time when David is suffering persecution at the hand of Saul and all those who persecuted him during that time. There were many who stood against him, and you can read through 1st and 2nd Samuel to see the names of those men and to read those stories, especially 1 Samuel, because that's during the time when he's being persecuted by Saul. He says, from the end of the earth will I cry unto thee. So, this, as I say, it's instructive for us because it doesn't matter where. It does not matter where you are. It is always time to pray. Hear my cry, O God, attend unto my prayer. From the end of the earth will I cry. So he's already told us that he wants God to hear him, and now he's telling the Lord, it don't matter where I am, from the end of the earth, I'm going to cry unto you. And David's, of course, everywhere during this period. He's in caves and in mountain strongholds, and he's in area of the Philistines. He's in the capital there in Gath. He's down in Ziklag. He's in all kinds of places. And so as he travels about, what does he take with him? He takes with him his heart of prayer, and he has a need. When my heart is overwhelmed. Have you ever felt that way? Have you felt like that your heart is overwhelmed? Oh, my friends, I'm sure you have. That is a situation common to humanity, isn't it? And we have so many of those in the Psalms, situations that are common to humanity. Well, here, David's heart is overwhelmed, and you can imagine that he's persecuted by the man he loves and respects. He's done nothing wrong. The only thing that David's done wrong is he's been anointed king by Samuel, and Saul didn't like that. Saul is going to try to kill him. And so his heart is overwhelmed with all the persecution, all the trouble that he has endured much from Saul. And then he says this here in the end of verse 2, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Well, we had a request for God to hear. What's he going to hear? Well, number one, he says, lead me. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Psalm 18 is, of course, I think our great map for this particular psalm. But also, we need to think about 1 Corinthians chapter 10, because there we're told that when the people came up with Moses from Egypt, they did eat the same spiritual meat, and they did drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. Remember when Moses struck the rock and the water came out? Well, that rock that was seemingly always there, available for Moses, and for the people, was a rock that produced water. And David says, lead me to the rock. Well, what rock is he talking about? I think he's talking about Christ here. This is a symbol of God's faithfulness and his firmness and his provision. David says, my heart is overwhelmed. Lead me to the rock of Christ, so that he can be provided for and his heart can be comforted And it is higher because it is a spiritual rock, as Paul writes in 1 Corinthians chapter 10. It is greater than, it is more than, it is fuller than, it is firmer than anything that David could find in this life. The rock that is higher than I. And friends, there is a rock that is higher than you as well. And that rock is Christ. So why don't you call on him today? Call on him and seek his face. And just as David, when you're overwhelmed, there's only one place to go, and that place is to the rock. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow. We're going to look at verses 3 and 4 here on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.